Welcome to Dave Talks Comics, the program where I talk about comic books, cartoons, and comic book conventions. This is episode 136. All past episodes can be streamed or downloaded from the program's website, davetalkscomics.com. In addition to the program's website, this podcast can also be found on iTunes, Stitcher, and Facebook. You can find my notes on what I have read at davetalkscomicsnotes.blogspot.com. I just got back from Hereos Con, and for the next few episodes, I'm going to be talking about what I bought, the people I met, the panels I went to, what I had to eat, and so on and so forth. On this episode, I will be talking about the drive to Charlotte, North Carolina, and what I did during the 24 hours leading up to the opening of the convention. There's a segment that I recorded before I left for Charlotte that I have decided to drop from this episode because the sound quality was pretty bad. I think the problem was caused by the air conditioning in the car. In the missing segment, I talked about how I was leaving later than I planned to because it took the car rental agency an hour to get me a car after I walked in the door. I talked about buying lunch at Whole Foods. I talked about the episode of WTF where Mark talks to Ariel Levy, and how there's another author with almost exactly the same name who I heard on another podcast recently. I talked about the traffic I was expecting to encounter leaving the D.C. area. And finally, I talked about the possibility of catching a flight to Charlotte next year so that I can stay later on Sunday. Okay, so I'm at my first rest stop. It's about 1:30 now. I got here about 1:10. I had my bite to eat. I'm not exactly at Ruckersville, about 10 miles short of Ruckersville, at another Sheetz gas station. I think I'd stopped at this one before once or twice in the past, possibly in the first year I drove down to Charlotte for Hereos Con back in 2011. But I'd forgotten about this one, but I remember it just as I was approaching it, because there's a stoplight. The light was green, but still, I think I had to slow down a bit, because maybe it was red as I was approaching it, but I thought I remembered there was a Sheetz, and then I saw the Sheetz, and I was able to make the turn in time, and so I pulled in here. I was hungry enough, and besides which, the Sheetz at Ruckersville is on the wrong side of the road, so I would have had to make a left turn, and then also make a more awkward turn to get back onto 29, so I like it this way. So I had some chicken salad that I bought at Whole Foods, and I put it into a piece of pita bread, and that was pretty good. I'm not full, but it's enough to hold me. I'd also bought some potato chips. I think they were the Whole Foods brand of vinegar. What's it like? Sea salt and vinegar or something like that. And but I was nibbling on those the whole way down. So by the time I got here, it was they were gone, except for one chip, which wound up underneath my seat, and I didn't notice until after I'd gone in to use the bathroom and come back out and found it sitting on the seat. It was intact still. It wasn't crushed or anything. It must not have been completely underneath me, and so I ate it then. I guess that's the 500-second rule or something. So I bought a bottle of water. I also have a can of soda not from Sheetz though, from Whole Foods, a Dr. Snap, which I think tastes a little like Dr. Pepper. So I'm about ready to get back on the road. The traffic actually wasn't too bad in the D.C. area. I mean, I made it around to around 495. I was on to 66 within like 25 minutes, I think. And I was on to 29 within less than an hour. It was something like 50 minutes, I think. I was on 29. I finished off that episode of WTF, the interview with Ariel Levy, and I think that's Levy? I think it's Levy. Yeah, I think it's Levy. There is an Ariel Levy, like I said before. This is Ariel Levy. And she does spell it Leve. her last name. And so then I listened to an episode of the Warner Home Archives podcast, which is kind of an advertisement type podcast, but they talk about movies that they're just releasing, and I've always find that interesting. I don't think I've actually ever bought anything, but there are a few things that they've highlighted that sound interesting. This time around, they highlighted a Sam Peckinpah film, and I don't know if I've seen too many of his. I think he made Straw Dogs, and I've seen that, which I wasn't crazy about. And he made The Wild Bunch, which I really liked. But I don't think, but it's been a long time. It's probably been 20 years since I saw that. Let's see. It's possible I've seen some of his other films. I'm just not sure. So far, so good with the car. And then after that, I started listening to Crankcast, the most recent episode of the Crankcast. And I'm probably... That's about an hour and a half long, and I'm probably 50 minutes in, something like that. So I'm going to get back on the road. I'm not sure what my next stop's going to be. If it's going to be either... I don't think I'm going to stop in... Well, you know what? I may stop in Lynchburg for gas, although I have... According to this, I can make it another 230 miles. And I have about half a... I've only used about a quarter tank, and I started with 3/4 of a tank, so I could probably... And I've done, about 100 miles. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to make it all the way to Charlottesville on this, but I should certainly be able to make it into North Carolina. Well, probably. I still got another 300 miles to go. So maybe I will stop in Lynchburg, which isn't that far. It's only about, I think Lynchburg is... Lynchburg is about 80, 90, probably 90, maybe 100 miles from here. Yeah. So maybe that would be a good place to stop. It's a little off the highway. It's not right on the highway, but... Okay, well, enough musing. I think it's time to get back on the road and get back to listening to podcasts. Should probably make some notes, but I haven't, so let's just call this a first draft, although it might also be the final draft. I probably sound a little tired. I can certainly hear that in my voice, and I am. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. But anyway, I'm in Charlotte, on the outskirts of town. I'm staying at a very nice hotel near the University of Charlotte. It's in a neighborhood where I haven't stayed before. Let's see, it took me about almost 8 hours to get here. That includes stops. And I figure our total stop time was something like an hour and 15 minutes. So actually that's pretty good driving time getting here. 6 hours and 45 minutes, roughly speaking, of driving. I think it was like 7 hours and 55 minutes total. Because I left at 11:20 and I got here at about 7:15 in the evening. After the stop where I ate lunch at the Sheets just before Ruckersville, like 10 miles before Ruckersville, which is like 10 miles before Charlottesville, not to be confused with Charlotte, of course. I made 2 more stops. I stopped in Lynchburg, where all I really did was I stopped at the Sheets, I used the bathroom, I walked around and browsed. I think I weirded out the cashier. I think he was, or at least he was keeping an eye on me because I didn't buy anything. Felt a little guilty about that, but I kind of made up for it at the next Sheets. I didn't really need anything. I probably should have bought something, a snack, but anyway, I was probably there for about 15 minutes total because I spent a little bit of time checking to see where I should stop next. And so the next stop, which was my last stop before I got to Charlotte, was at another Sheets. This one just outside of Greensboro, on the north side of town, where it's a Sheets that's kind of, it comes up on you really quick, and you really have to know where it is. And I've tried to stop there before, and each time I have, it's just like, oh, there it is, and I'm going shooting past it. It's too late. And I didn't feel like turning around in the past. So this time, I figured out exactly where it was and which streets to look for before I get there. Because it's like a 4-lane divided highway. And so you have to pull over into a turning lane, and then you have to turn across 2 lanes of traffic. There's no lights. There's no signs to help you, really. But I managed to do it. So there I spent a little more time there, probably 25 minutes there. I put gas in the car. It didn't desperate. I had about a quarter tank of gas. I think I had enough to get to Charlotte, but I would have had to gas up before I left anyway. So I also got a Twix ice cream bar and ate that. And then I studied the map to see how much further I had to go to get to the hotel. And it was about 100 miles to that Sheets from Lynchburg, and about another 100 miles from that Sheets to Charlotte, to the hotel in Charlotte. So like I said, I got in around 7:15. I went up to the room. At first I was going to run out immediately to get something to eat, and in a way maybe I should have. Instead I decided to take a shower and take care of some stuff, and then I brought my laptop with me and had a couple of work-related things I needed to do, and so I took care of those things, and then I went out to get a bite to eat. Now, sometime between the time I got to the hotel and the time I went back out, storm clouds moved in, and it was pouring rain. Of course, the sun had not set at that point, but it was so overcast that, it may as well have set at that point. So I still wanted to go out. It was like 9 o'clock. I wanted to get a bite to eat. I needed to get a bite to eat. So I went out. There was 2 places I was considering. They were both kind of in the same shopping area. I found one of them. I didn't find the other, but I think I know where it is now. The place I found was a Middle Eastern place, and they were very crowded, and it didn't occur to me when I was there until I left. The reason why they were so crowded was the sun had set, and we're in the middle of Ramadan. So, and most of the customers who were there looked Middle Eastern or were dark-skinned, looked like they probably were people who were, Muslim, would be my guess. Although they could have been others. I don't know exactly what Muslims look like. As distinguished from people who, they definitely look like people of Middle Eastern extraction and people from maybe Indian extraction, that sort of thing, but I can't tell. But my guess is that they were probably, most of them were Muslims who were, although, it's not like it was an old group. It was there was a lot of young people in there. Anyway, I don't know if I've shot myself in the foot or not with all those comments, but So I wanted at first the guy asked me, is this to go or do you want to eat here? And at first I said to go, and then after I studied the menu I was like, actually I'd like to eat here, and he's like, well, there's a long wait, and I was like, okay, I'll get it to go. The food came up very fast. I got the chicken shawarma platter with rice and steamed vegetables, and it was a lot of food. I have not finished it off yet. I've probably eaten about half of it to 2/3 of it, but it was a lot of rice, a fair amount of chicken, and a decent serving of vegetables. I said the vegetables are probably the weakest part of the meal, but the rice and the chicken were very good. So after getting the food, I walked around a little more trying to find this other place, which is a Thai place, which is nearby, but I didn't check the right areas, and I was a little confused, and I think all the rain confused me a bit. Although it had let up quite a bit by the time I finally got there. Actually, before I got there, I made a wrong turn. I knew it was a left turn off the street I was on to get into this, but I got into this turning lane, and then it was too late. There was no way for me to back out, and I ended up going into one of these housing complexes which has, just one entrance. And but I didn't realize that, and so I thought, well, maybe I can drive around and find another exit on another street, which will make it easier to get back onto the street I was on, I turned off of, and, well, there wasn't. And it was still pouring very hard at that point, which made it very difficult to see, and the lighting wasn't great back there, the street lighting, and I'm sure the rain doesn't help with that. But eventually I worked my way back out of there, and so I finally got to the shopping center where these restaurants were. I got the Middle Eastern food. I came back to the hotel. I've had a fair amount of it to eat, and so basically now I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Trying to figure out where I'm going to eat breakfast, where I'm going to park. There's lots of parking in downtown Charlotte. This is my 6th year going to Hereos Con, but this is the first time that the first 2 years I stayed in hotels in the downtown area. So it was a short walk to the convention center, like 4 blocks or something like that. And then the next 3 years, the next 2 years, I stayed south of the downtown area, ways south, like a few miles south. Well, the first 2 years was just a few miles. The next year was more like 10 miles. But I basically took the light rail into the downtown because there's a station like a block from the convention center. Very convenient, not terribly expensive. And to be perfectly honest, I'm thinking of doing that again, although I'm kind of on the wrong side of town for that. There is no light rail over here that leads into downtown Charlotte, so I'd kind of have to drive around to the south side of town, or the south side of the downtown area. And I know that there's some parking lots there where you can park for free and take the train in. One concern is that it's supposed to rain again tomorrow. So I'm not sure how that'll play into my plans. So at this point, I'm just kind of getting ready for tomorrow. I've got a few commissions to pick up. Well, 3. Yeah, 3 commissions to pick up, which I've paid for. All 3 of them are by people that I've gotten stuff from before. In 2 cases, they're commissions I've gotten from these guys before. In the other case, I bought a print from him last year. And I've actually seen the thing that he did online. I don't know if the others have been posted yet on Twitter or wherever. I haven't been keeping up with that stuff lately. I've just been a little too busy. And to be perfectly honest, right now I'm kind of tired. And I think I want to get some sleep because I got in late last night and I did not get a decent night's sleep. So I think that's going to be about it for right now. There are 3 panels I want to go to tomorrow. I've been listening to Comic Geek speak today. Their Off the Racks episode, recent Off the Racks episode. I was listening to Kevin Pollak's chat show he had on Michaela Watkins, who's one of the stars of the Hulu series Casual, which I like very much. I've just recently started watching the 3rd season of that, which is in the process, I think, of dropping right now. I don't think all the episodes are available just yet. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure at least 5 or 6 of them are. And I listen to a bunch of NPR type programs and other programs like the BBC World Update, which is a daily program, and the Marketplace Morning Report, the Marketplace Tech Report, the Marketplace, their flagship show, I guess. Note to Self. I think that's about it. There's probably something I'm forgetting that I listen to in between WTF and those programs. I listen to Crankcast. Yes, although I may have mentioned that before. I think that's about it as far as stuff I've listened to. Haven't really had time to digest anything else other than food. And I'm just looking forward to getting a decent night's sleep and then figuring out what I'm going to do in the morning. It's Friday morning, day one of Hereos Con. I am a couple blocks from the convention center. I've parked the car. I'm charging up my other cell phone. And because somehow I let it run down, and for some reason I didn't charge it while I was driving over here. Could have done that. It was like a 20-minute drive. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention, but I think that's what it said it should be, about 20, 25 minutes. So I found a parking lot a couple blocks from the convention center. I might have parked a little further away, but I'm a little concerned because it's supposed to rain later today, and I don't want to have to walk too far in the rain if I have to. I do have a rain jacket, but, I don't want books I buy or prints or artwork to get wet. So, and I've got a bag which is pretty good at keeping things dry, but, it doesn't hurt to take some precautions. So I found this lot, and I had to drive around for about 2 or 3 minutes before I found a spot, because some of these spots are monthly only, and some of them are like there's church parking only. So, but I think I've gotten a spot. I'm in a good spot. I'm in the shade. And let's see. So I went to Booger's Bagels for breakfast. I didn't go to just there. I had leftover chicken shawarma from last night, so I had that. Chicken shawarma and steamed vegetables. So first I had that, and then I went out and got a bagel at Booger's, which I think is a little... They're not bad bagels, but the pricing is a little high, especially the small bottle of juice I got. It was like almost $3 for like 6 ounces or something like, or 8 ounces of juice. It was ridiculous. But I don't know. Maybe they had the prices posted for that stuff. I'm not sure. I wasn't paying attention. But I got a few more bagels for maybe the next couple days for breakfast. And so I'm getting ready to go over to the convention center. The show doesn't officially open until 11. It's almost 10 o'clock right now. And like I said, I'm like 2 blocks from the convention center. I need to pick up my 3-day pass. Oh, my business cards. That's right. I want to put my business cards together so I can hang them from the same badge that I have that special pass you get for buying a 3-day pass. And so my plan is to walk around for a while, maybe buy some stuff, maybe pick up some of the art. Only 3 pieces that I had commissioned. I had some crazy ideas this morning for commissions. On Crankcast the other day, they were talking about, first they mentioned Spider-Gwen. Somebody said, does Gwen Stacy have a personality, problem, because there's Spider-Gwen, and then there's Gwenpool, and there's one other that I'm forgetting. And so they were like, which one is she, Oh, Gwenum. That was the other one, Gwenum. So I was trying to think of some other ones that could be, and so I came up with like Gwenlock, or Gwenborg, or Cyber Gwen, all of which would look probably kind of similar. And then, what were the other ones? Oh, Gwen of Hearts. I'd really like to get that one done. And there's a couple others I came up with. Let's see, Cyber Gwen, Gwen of Hearts. Let's see, I'm looking at my list here. Notes, sketch ideas. Oh, well, yeah, I guess that was about it. Wonder Gwen was the only other one I wrote down. And I was trying to think of other people who could be the fill-in for, that you could mash up with Gwen Stacy. And it's partly a matter of the name, and it's partly a matter of the look, because you don't want to mash up Gwen with, like, Power Girl, because, they're both blondes, and is there anything else distinctive about them? So you want to pick somebody who has a distinctive look, that goes beyond, the costume, because if you put the costume on her, what is it that makes Gwen Stacy Gwen Stacy? And I think it's really her past and who she is. I don't know if her look is, because there's a lot of characters whose look is basically, he's got this color hair, he's got that color hair, he wears a cape, he doesn't have a cape, she wears a bikini, she doesn't, whatever it is. But a lot of it, the person themselves they need something distinctive in their look, like the Jack of Hearts, like Cyborg or Deathlock. You know, they have distinctive looks to them. There's something distinctive about their look. And I think there's probably other characters who have a similar look, but they are the ones who have that look. So you need somebody like that. So, maybe a pirate character? I'm trying to think of somebody who, but I'm not... Gwen-Eye? But I suppose there already is a female Hawkeye. I don't know. Hawk Gwen, yeah. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll think up some others. So I've got some commissions to pick up. I want to go to 3 panels today. The first one isn't until 2 o'clock. So I've got some time to wander around. I figure I'd wander around for about an hour and a half. Then I think I'll go to get a bite to eat. And I'm going to leave the convention center for that. And then I'm going to go to the first panel. The first 2 panels are back-to-back at 2 and 3 o'clock. And the first panel, I believe, is the Michael Golden panel. And the second one is the Bill Sienkiewicz panel. And then there's a break of about an hour. And then I want to go to, at 5 o'clock, there is... what's the panel at 5 o'clock? I can't remember. I'll think of it. But there's another panel at 5 o'clock that I want to go to. And I think the show ends at 6 o'clock tonight, so that may be it. So I'm probably not going to spend a ton of time down on the showroom floor. Probably most of it will be early on and then from 4 to 5, if everything goes as planned. I don't know. And I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to eat. I've got a number of places bookmarked on Yelp that are in the downtown area, not too far. I think tomorrow I'm going to have to spend... I don't know if I'm going to be able to get away for lunch, or I'm going to have to take a much faster lunch break, whereas today I think I can afford to maybe take an hour and a half, or at least allot that much time, and just in case I need that much time. So everything's good so far. So, and I feel much better, much more refreshed than I was last night. I was really dragging last night, and I think I got a good night's sleep. Let's see if I can, what my Fitbit app tells me I got in the way of sleep. It's not always accurate. Sometimes it'll say I got 5 hours of sleep, but I know I was in bed for 7. Okay, it says I got 6.5 hours of sleep last night. Okay, and that's pretty good for me. It says I got up at 6 o'clock, and I went to bed at 10:30. But I was awake for about an hour, according to this, in the middle of that. Restless. Awake or restless for about an hour. And I did wake up a few times. The bed wasn't bad, but I had to lay the right way, otherwise it did kind of bother me. But it wasn't too bad. And I had a headache last night when I went to bed, and it was gone when I got up. I didn't take anything for it, so that's good. So I'm waiting until, I don't think I'm going to wait till this phone is fully charged, because it was down to 60%. It's at 72% right now. I think I'm going to wait till it gets to about 80%, and then I'll take off. It's only 10:02 right now. I think I've got plenty of time. I think they open early for the people with 3-day passes, but I don't have my heart sold on necessarily getting in first thing, because honestly, when you get in at the beginning, there's a lot of people who aren't set up yet, who are still setting up. Sometimes people aren't even there yet at 11:30 on Friday. I mean, Fridays are slower than other days, so it just doesn't necessarily pay to show up early. But, I mean, one area where it can pay to show up early is things that might be gone quickly. For instance, if you want to get on an artist's commission list, it might pay to get there early, provided they're going to be there early, because you don't always know about that. And sometimes the people with dealer passes will get ahead of you in line, because they'll get to them before you can. And then sometimes there's other things, products, books that they might only have a few copies of that'll sell out real fast. I don't know if I've ever been in that position where I've been trying to get something like that, because they're usually pricey too. And there's definitely pricey stuff out there. And there's people I'd love to get commissions from. But, honestly, I've gotten to a point where I would be fine with just getting a print. And some people's prints are just ridiculously expensive too. So I've been watching on Twitter to see what people post. as far as, what they're going to have at Heroes Con, who's going to be there, what their commission prices are. I usually don't even bother with the people who don't list commission prices. I mean, they don't have to give a full range of prices, but they got to give you some idea. If they just say, hit me up for a commission, I assume, especially if their stuff looks really nice, that they're going to be more than I want to pay. Like $50 for a head sketch or something. I think the most I'm paying for a small thing is I'm paying $30 for a head sketch, like a 9x11 head sketch. And that's the most I'm paying. But the most I'm paying is for a group photo, a group sketch, and that's $60. But this is from somebody who I've already gotten stuff from in the past. So I know the kind of work he does, and so I'm fairly confident that I'll like it. And in fact, all 3 pieces are from people I've gotten stuff from in the past. I did not take the time to put together. I have a list, a spreadsheet, and I didn't take the time to download it. So that I have it on my phone. I may be able to access it on my phone anyway, but I won't be able to access it on either of my tablets, I don't think. No, I can't, because I don't have internet connection on them. I can only use them with Wi-Fi. I should have done that back at the hotel. So hopefully I'll remember what I want and remember to look for things that I want, because usually there's so many boxes of comics that it can be a little intimidating looking for stuff, and I know there's stuff I haven't written down that I want, and so there's things I can think of, and I can probably pull up a list, like I said, on my cell phone, because I know I have it in Google Docs, but I just don't know if, let's see, Google Docs, documents to go, cloud, Jing, requesting Google Drive feed. Okay. Hey, there it is. Okay. Now I think I can make this available for. Can I make this? Let's see. Well, I know I updated this not too long ago, and I know there's certain things I want. Like there's 3 issues of Captain America from the Zek run that I'm missing, and there's some other books, some of which are just kind of pie in the sky hopes that I can find. Some of them are not going to be easy to find just because they didn't have big print runs, although they're not in high demand either, so if I find them I don't expect them to be crazy expensive. Well, I guess that's enough for right now. Phone isn't fully charged up to 80% yet. It's about 75. I'll give it a few more minutes, but I think I'm going to stop recording here, and I'll be heading over to Convention Center pretty soon. That's it for episode 136. Episode 137 will be more of the same, with me talking about the first day of Heroes Con 2017. Dave Talks Comics can be found at davetalkscomics.com, as well as on iTunes, Stitcher, and a few other locations. You can keep up with what I have currently been reading at davetalkscomicsnotes.blogspot.com and what I have been watching at smallscreenscrawls.blogspot.com. Links to both these blogs can be found at davetalkscomics.com under the Other Blogs header on the right-hand side of the page. If you have comments or questions, I can be reached at davetalkscomics@gmail.com, on Twitter at davetalkscomics, or leave a comment on my website. I'm Dave. Thank you for listening.